Hey guys, and welcome to another show and tell video. Now this is episode 4, but I want to remind you that if you look back at episode number 3, it ended when this walked in the door. That's right, I was actually doing my filming when somebody walked in and brought this to us. Now I need to clarify, I've never looked at one of these, I've never sought to buy one of these, never really had much interest in one of these, but somebody came and said, hey, I thought you'd like this, so they dropped it off. And I'm glad they did, because it forced me to take a look at it. And in the last video, I said, I'm going to take this out and shoot it. So, true to my word, here's me. We actually had a little bit of snow yesterday, and here is me in my bathrobe cleaning off the driveway. Okay, so that's not really me. That was actually, I saw that on the news. A guy in Kentucky was doing that. You know it's not me because my bathrobe is pink. So, as I said, I had no intention of ever showing you this, but since it came in the door, let's take a look. I actually looked up some of the history of a flamethrower. Now, I do have memories of flamethrowers in World War I, so sure enough, I looked it up, and the Germans, surprise, surprise, they were the first to develop the flamethrower. And it was used as a terror weapon. But as soon after they used it, then of course all sides got it, other than the United States never made a flamethrower until later in World War II. But going back to the Germans, they used them. They were less effective in the trenches because they only shoot about 40 feet, and so you have to be pretty close to the enemy. When you're closing in on a trench, I suppose it could be used then, but just like gas warfare, the flamethrower was more of a terror weapon, and the idea was when you saw that flame coming at you, everybody would run. Same way with mustard gas. So as a weapon, it was not that effective in World War I. However, in World War II, the United States felt like very quickly they needed to get a flamethrower for their troops, and so they came out with the M1 flamethrower, which was the first variation. And according to the records that I read, it was not very effective, did not work well. It was kind of rushed in production. And so they immediately realized they needed to develop something else. And so they developed this, which is the M2 flamethrower. Now these were made in about 1944. I believe this one was from 1944. It has had a few modifications for the Korean War, and I'll show you a little bit about that. But, you know, tactically, again, they're not that effective because you have to be up close and personal. But I was very surprised to find out that they were used in Korea and they were used in all the way to Vietnam. So when we look as to why, by the way, one of the reasons it was less effective is the United States developed this tank flamethrower. Here's a picture of that from World War II, where you can see the key is you have to get up close and personal. So if there's a lot of cover, so for example, if you're going after a machine gun nest that's out in the open, there's no way you're going to get close enough to use this. Again, it's just a 40-foot range. But with this tank, you can get up close and personal, also shoot a lot further, and so the tank really replaced the need for some guy with huge cojones, not cannolis, cojones, to carry this around on their back where any incendiary bullet would set it off. So back to the tactics. Again, you have to get up pretty close, and there were times in jungle warfare or where there's a lot of rubble and debris. We do see footage from World War II where for example, they would go up on a bunker and spray this into the bunker, and this was like a napalm which would go in and continue burning. Of course, you could throw a grenade, but that might blow up outside the bunker. When you shot into the bunker with this, it was going to explode everything that was in that bunker. So it was very effective if you could get close enough. The other time they used it, and I think the reason they used it in Korea and Vietnam, it's very effective with tunnels. You have the enemy, they run into their tunnels. I don't want to go in after them. This would be very effective in eradicating the enemy from their tunnels. Now I'm going to go over a little bit of this, but probably the best video that I saw on the internet was, of course, Ian McCullum, Forgotten Weapons. He actually shot one of these, which says a little bit about his cojones versus mine, because I don't think I would do it. Here's Ian actually shooting an M2, much like this one. So again, what a great job both he and I have, but I will pass on the shooting of this. And I want to talk a little bit about the basics. If you want a lot more detail, check out his video at Forgotten Weapons. But let's go over some of the basics. First of all, you see the two tanks. These two tanks together, they held about 4 3/4 gallons of a flammable liquid. You could use gasoline or kerosene, but in fact, they preferred a gel. The reason was the gel would shoot farther, actually twice as far. Instead of 20 feet, you'd get 40 feet out of a gel, and the gel would burn a lot longer. So certainly by Vietnam, they had the napalm gel that they could use, but in World War II, they used a gasoline gel. They mixed chemicals with gasoline to make it a gel. And so basically, you just unscrew this, and this is like the gas tank to your car, because you unscrew this, and you pour in the gel. Now, I should point out that this is about 45 pounds, and it fits on your back. There is a web, a canvas web that fits here. That is missing from this one, obviously. Otherwise, I would wear it for you to show you how stalwart I am. But fortunately, it's missing, so I can't wear it. But with these tanks filled, it goes from about 45 pounds to 70 pounds. So another qualification of the guy, other than having, you know, maybe not being the smartest guy in the squadron, he has to be a big guy to carry this 70-pound tanks. And there is a tank missing, easy to replace. They use a pressurized gas. The preferred gas would be nitrogen because it was inert. But when they ran out of the nitrogen, they could use pressurized air. So all it was the propellant mixed with the gel-like gasoline. So this was the propellant to spray the fuel at the enemy. So let's take a look at the wand, which is probably, other than the fuel, one of the most important parts. This does have a grip safety, and you have to grip it pretty. It's a hard grip. You want to press it hard, as Ian points out. If you just press it lightly, it's going to trickle out, and then, of course, if it catches on fire, you're catching yourself on fire. So you want to give it a good, strong grip. That releases the fuel, and then this ignites. There's igniters in here. I'm told they wear out pretty quick, so they would carry extra igniters. This would ignite it. So you want to release the fuel, ignite it, and that's what you see Ian doing as he's fanning the fuel at an object. And again, he talks about in the video about the heat that is released back to him is tremendous. So it is a scary proposition. I would be very nervous about shooting this. And they're not that hard to reactivate. The person that bought this, I think, just wanted it for display, but surprisingly, this is not considered a Class 3 destructive device. At the end of the war, most of them were destroyed. Only a few survived the war, and they go to collectors as displays, but then there's people who do want to use them, and maybe you're one of those people. If you own this, maybe you would reactivate it. All you need is the pressurized gas. You fill it with any kind of flammable fuel, and it will work again, but it's not for me. One more thing I wanted to say about the practicality of this weapon. The stream, once you ignite it, they usually did 1-second bursts. The stream was only about 7 seconds. So you would bring this up if you were close to a bunker and you wanted to take it out, and you only have 7 seconds of fire. So again, most of the time you see it being used, they do 1 or 2 seconds and they stop 1 or 2 seconds. And after about 3 times, it's done. So I was surprised by a lot of things, you know, the 7-second rule, the 70 pounds, that these, you know, you can still buy these. All of that was very surprising to me. But the other thing that was surprising to me, I remember when we put it on the website, because this is not something normally you would see on our website. I thought, who in the world would want this? And it lasted for about 5 minutes. Somebody paid for it right away. I did see one on Rock Island that sold for $7,500. It was completely intact. Ours sold for about half of that. Okay, talk about smooth segues. We went from a flamethrower to a .22 caliber Luger. This is actually a Luger that has an attached conversion kit. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about it because this came in just a couple days ago. So come a little closer, let's take a look at this Luger. Okay, so first and foremost, you can see it's from 1942. It is a Mauser-made Luger in 9mm. This one was issued to the police, and the reason we know that is you probably won't be able to see it because it's very, very faint. Right here is a police Eagle L marking. That was the inspection saying that it went to the police, and again in 9mm. Also, we can see the police sear safety. They were the only ones that asked that these be added for an added measure of safety. In this case, they took an Irma toggle, added it to the gun, added the .22 caliber barrel. So again, this is an Irma conversion kit. We have sold these kits before, but I never got a Luger where this is already assembled. So whoever brought this home either put the conversion kit together and then lost the toggle. So the original 9mm toggle is gone, and that one would be Mauser marked. This one is Irma marked. You also see it's Waffen stamped, so it was approved by the military. So this could have been put together later, or it came back from the war this way. One other feature that I wanted to show you was if you look at the magazine, well, let's take the magazine out. It's a .22 caliber long. You can see what that looks like. But also, it's Waffen stamp as well and serial numbered. But the bottom is O property marked, which means this one was issued to the Navy. So there's a little bit of history lesson here. What I learned from this gun, which just looks, you know, it looks like a Frankenstein. Police used target pistols, and rather than buying more pistols like the United States did, they would just buy the conversion kit. So the police used the conversion kit. The Waffen stamp tells me that the military used the conversion kit. And finally, the Navy used the conversion kit. So all the branches of service would take their Lugers or their P38s, and also we've had conversion kits for the Walther PP and PPK. They all would qualify and practice on a .22 caliber. Why? Well, obviously it was a lot cheaper. It was easier on their ears. There was less recoil. It was just a very good training tool. Before I show you another one, let me just quickly show you the functioning on this one. So just like the normal toggle on the Luger, and again, the toggle is gone, you could easily buy a Mauser toggle, 9mm, pop it in here, and it would shoot in 9mm. This unscrews and pulls right out. Obviously, you can switch the magazines, but generally, I'll show you how it works. You pull this back, and it'll stay back, the hold open, until you take out the magazine. Then it pops forward, and you see this little protrusion? That would be the extended firing pin on the .22. Let's do it again, but this time I took the magazine out just to make it smoother action, because then it won't hold open, but you can see how easily it actually has a very smooth action. So that's the .22 caliber. I know, don't say, please don't dry fire the gun. And yes, I checked it to make sure it wasn't loaded. I did all those safety checks ahead of time. But for this video, I just wanted to show you the action on a .22 caliber converted Luger. So the German military was not the only ones who liked to practice on .22 calibers. Most of you probably know that the United States Army and the different academies all used .22 calibers. Here's the history on this one. First of all, one of my favorite .22s is the Colt Ace service model. We've sold those. There's a picture of one that we've sold. That's a really fine weapon. Great way to learn how to aim and fire and be accurate with the 1911. So this service Colt is very popular and can be very expensive if it was issued during the war. So here's one that we've had at Legacy. But these also came in this week. I had a collector drop these off. This is a high standard .22 target pistol. And what makes this one special is in 1942, remember the war broke out in December of '41. The military immediately began looking for weapons. And one of the things they needed was training weapons, of course. So early '42, they ordered the military to go and just grab right off the shelves and from the factories all over the United States. They were grabbing weapons off the shelves. And that included Colt Detectives and Smith & Wessons and of course 1911 Colts. But here's a high standard that had to have been on the shelf because it came in the longer barrel. This is .22 long rifle with about a 5.5-inch barrel, which is standard issue for your local sporting goods store, but not for the military. Here's the magazine, again, .22 long, and the action on these are very smooth, but we see it's a high standard Model B, and this one has been used extensively, very much worn. And you can see property of the U.S. Army. So after it was taken off the shelf, it was stamped property of the U.S. Army, and it also has the cartouche. But the military then had their own specifications. So not only did they grab all available weapons, but now they also started ordering more. And this is the military model of the high standard Model B. This, of course, is in much better condition. You can see high standard Model B. Magazine is in much better condition. There's the magazine on it. And then if we turn this over, you can see the U.S. property is now roll stamped onto there from the factory. So this is ordered from the factory with a shorter barrel. This is the military specifications. The sight is a little bit different, but basically it's the same gun, shorter barrel. You see the cartouche issued to the military. This is actually a pretty rare gun. We know that the Colt Woodsman made guns for the military, but of course the 1911 Colt. So this is just a little piece of history. This is from later in 1942, went to the military for training. Okay, now let's go back in time a little bit because I just showed you a civilian model of a high standard and then the military model. These also came in actually just yesterday, so I thought I'd show them to you. This is a single action Army Colt in excellent condition. This is not a restoration. This one is original, and we can see that it's .45 caliber. This was made in the early 1900s, what some people call a cowboy gun, but this is all original, case hardened, beautiful gun. We've talked before about if you ever look at one of these to buy, you want to check the action because of course they're well over 100 years old. And what we look for in a gun like this, so it's absolutely beautiful. From the serial number, we can check the date. You can go to the website for dating the Colt, look that up and you can get the date, but I'm thinking it was like 1907. And check the action. You want to make sure, first of all, that it locks up solid. And we showed this to you before. You cock it, and there's very little wiggle room, so we know that this one is tight. And then the other test you can do is when you half cock it, it should click and be lined up. The cylinder should be lined up. So the timing and the action should be tight. And this one will probably go on the site, maybe on Gunbroker, because there's a lot more antique Colt collectors on Gunbroker than on our website. But the reason I'm showing you this, first of all, it's a beautiful gun, and I will wipe it all down. I know people get upset that I didn't wear gloves. This is the exact same gun, but the military model. Now, let me show you the difference. So you see the case hardening. You see the blue. This one is in not as good a condition. But the first difference you will notice is this has the standard commercial plastic grip, and this one has the military wooden grip. You see the inspector initial right here. This one is very clear, very well done. Often they're worn off, but this one is in remarkable condition for having gone to the military. So this would be during the Indian Wars, and it's 1903. Again, single action Army. It has the inspector initials on the bottom. You got the inspector initials on both panels, and then you have the inspector initials here and dated. The other feature that makes it really easy to tell it's US, if you look at the commercial one at the bottom, you see the Colt Stallion logo, but the one at the top, which is military, it has US. So this was made for the US military in the early 1900s, .45 caliber. Features on this are near identical. There's a few changes, but let's check. Remember what I taught you. Pull this back. It's tight. Let's check the timing. Half cock it. Timing is excellent. So this is, these are both highly collectible. And even though this one is lesser condition, it's more desirable to collectors because it's military. It's interesting in this hobby, anytime whether it's a Luger or a 1911 Colt or whatever gun I'm collecting, if it's a military issued gun, it brings a premium, and that's true for single action armies as well. Both of these guns should be up on the website by the time you view this. Okay, now it's time for the grand finale. I have 3 PPKs to show you. These came in yesterday, and I just want to ask you, where in the world can you go and watch a video that has a flamethrower and a Party Leader PPK? And the answer is there's only one place in the world where you can go and see this kind of entertainment, and it's right here at the Legacy Collectible YouTube channel. That's right, I got 3 PPKs. Now, I just want to tell you that before we started the YouTube channel, we regularly would have 4 pages of PPKs on our website. Since we've been doing the channel and talking about all their PPs and PPKs, we're usually down to 1 page, and it's only half a page. So I'm very happy to have gotten these 3 guns. This is just an absolutely beautiful Party Leader PPK. Now I'm holding it by the. I hate to cover up. You know what? I'm going to get the rag, and I'll lay it down for you because you have to see the whole grip. The money is really in the grip. So this was made in 1938. We know that from the serial range. Maybe late 38, early 39. It's the 200,000 range, 220. So 38, 39, and that's proper for this grip because we actually have catalogs from 1938, 1939 that show this, what they call the honor weapon for the Party Leader. You had to get permission from your group leader. Basically, they would recommend you for the honor weapon because if you were a dishonorable Nazi, you were not entitled. But if you were an honorable Nazi and a member of the party and you paid your dues, you could get your honor weapon, for, which was the Walther PPK, in stunning condition. I'd rate this about 98, 99%. This grip has no cracks in it. Again, you usually see a crack on the back strap. And here's the other side of the grip. Absolutely beautiful. This is crown end proofed, because Eagle End started in late 39 into 40. So that's why this is right before they switched over to the Eagle End. So this is crown end here and here. If I pull the slide back, there will be a crown end also on the end of the barrel. So this Party Leader came in yesterday. I hate to sell it, but I will be adding that to the website soon. And then 2 other ones that are noteworthy. This RZM is actually first of all, it's also a party member gun because it's marked RZM. But one of the things I noticed immediately when I got this RZM was the 60-degree safety versus the 90-degree safety. Now, all the RZMs that you've probably seen are in the 830 to 840 serial range, 830 to 840 serial range, which dates it to 1934, 1935. Actually, they started making the RZM in about the 808, 809,000 range, but then they made them, they made 30,000 of them in the 800,000 range. And they all are marked RZM, but they all have a 90-degree safety because the 60-degree safety was introduced in about 1936, 1937. So most of the RZMs you will ever see, 30,000 of them again were made early guns, and they would have a 90-degree safety. This one, however, has a 60-degree safety, and you might think, how is that possible? That's because this one was also made in 1938. Actually, 1939, if you look at the serial number, it's much later. It's made in 1939, and look at that. It is Eagle End proof, not crown end. So, extremely rare to find an RZM PPK with a 60-degree safety and correctly proofed Eagle End. So, the conclusion, by the way, by collectors is they made 30,000 of them. They all sold, and then somebody said, hey, we need a few more. They probably made about another 1,000 or a couple thousand of these. So these are much, much rarer, and this one also will not last quickly on our website. So an RZM from 1939. And finally, I'm going to show you a late war PPK. This gun is just stunning. If you look at the finish on the slide, and by the way, the slide legend is very, very thin because now we're up to early 1944. Slide legend is thinner. Right before production stopped in middle of 1944. It has the black grip, so you know it's later. 60-degree safety, of course. But if you look at the frame, it's like a dark black paint. And that's one indication that this is an aluminum frame. You can see the milling marks. You can see if you get you can see the machining marks, the milling marks in the metal. And the aluminum is a lot softer and, of course, a lot lighter. You can see the serial range here. Just a beautiful gun from probably early 1944, might be late 43. But this is a Doral frame, and if you watch my videos I mentioned before, where the aluminum frame meets the steel barrel, you can see a little line right here. So if you're not sure, the couple things you can check. One, the frame looks like black paint. It wears off very easily, so sometimes you'll see it where it's all silver here. If the guy didn't wipe it down and take care of it and used it a lot, this will become silver very quickly. The aluminum shows through, but you also want to see that line. So this is a late war PPK, a Party Leader PPK, an RZM PPK. I am so excited about this week because I got some really cool things. Unexpected flamethrowers, some .22 calibers to show you, and then some high quality PPKs. It's a great day at Legacy Collectibles. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something and enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And also don't forget to go to our new website, which is actually, the link is right below, legacyyoutube.com. It's YouTube spelled with a U. This website has no prohibited items, and so we can send you directly there. And the sales here helps to offset the cost of bringing you more videos. Thanks for watching.